Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti and William Isley from Unlock Clarity, and welcome back to the Spanglish Radio World Network on Single TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today we are happy and joyful because we are having a conversation about that, being happy and joyful. So, how are you, William, today?
I am doing well. You?
Happy and joyful?
Well, at least happy. Joyful that I get to talk to you again.
Awesome. So, today the title, something that we try to do something different today. We want to do some conversation with metaphors, with everything that we are learning and talking about collaboration and joy. So, talking about collaboration, we put the title of The Dance of Unity. That's exactly what is collaboration for us. And it's very interesting because if you go to the map of consciousness that Dr. David Hawkins created, unity is in the upper level of expansion when we are trying to grow and grow like a lot. It's like where you are like really connecting with God as one with the universe, one with God. Everything is unified, and that's one of the upper levels. And that's where I hear when I am saying the dance of unity. But connecting that with collaboration gives a lot of other sense of not just saying like, okay, let's collaborate between you and me. No, let's have a dance of unity. Let's start to be together and start to create something that creates something amazing. So, according to Esther Hicks, collaboration is co-creation at its best. It's not just a skill; it's an emotional state. And I love that talking about that because it's completely another uh, way of looking at collaboration. You're like, okay, do I want to collaborate? I don't know. But when you start to see like this is like co-creation at the best, and it's an emotional state where you can start to move harmoniously in a dance of life with other people that you are working with, that starts to be like something that is going to fuel innovation, start to improve the problem solving, it's going to create growth like you never imagined before. So let's start with the first point of that, William.
The emotional essence of collaboration. I love this part. It's talking about the choir's collective voice, which is and can be more powerful than any specific soloist. The soloist just kind of brings about pointing to the choir to a degree, and then we can move into like an orchestra, the solo violin or the solo this, that, or the other, and then you have the full orchestra that comes in along with it as a collaborative harmony.
And we're going to use that example during the whole program today because I believe that it's a very good metaphor to start to connect. Like, okay, I am a soloist in the orchestra, and I am an orchestra. How everything starts to be harmonious, and you start to hear like different sounds and different in the whole process. That changes everything. So, in the second point, we are talking about a soulful synergy. So when we are talking synergy in this type of programs, we have another collaboration here, a little collaboration here. Uh, I want you to start to imagine a garden, and in a garden you can have one flower that is blooming, but if you have two, this synergy is going to start to create infinite possibilities. It's not going to be one plus one, but you start to see like even the different petals and everything in those flowers are going to start to be harmonious. So at the end, that's something that happens when you have collaboration. There is a synergy that start to have one plus one is more than two.
Yes. And I find it amazing how this brings forth transformation in using collective intention. I mean, if you think about a chariot back in the ancient days, um, it took a team of horses to pull that bugger, and when they pull together, the chariot goes forward easily and smoothly, as opposed to each horse trying to pull in a different direction. And so the collective intention works in the same way. It's like when we pull in the same direction, the ride is amazing. And one of my mentors for leadership used to say, leadership is getting everybody, when it comes time to pull the cart, is getting everyone to pull it in the same direction, which is how you get things accomplished. So this just lends right back in. So then, next point.
And the last point in this part of collaboration that we are talking is unlocking the heart of collaboration. And what do we mean with that? Let's continue with the example that we were talking about an orchestra. In an orchestra, there is a lot of instrument that different people is playing its parts, and they are like, okay, I am playing with my violin and I am playing something, but they may sound separate because each of them is having that instrument and having the best way they can. But when everything is tuned together in a frequency and they produce a harmonious melody, everything start to be together, and you can start to, you don't hear like only the violin or only the cello or only the piano. You start to hear like something harmonious that is working together, and that's the heart of collaboration, is tuning into that frequency where every individuality creates a masterpiece, and that's exactly what we are talking with collaboration.
Yes. And it's a joy to move on to the next section of joy. Um, so, Carl Jung used to say that joy was the goal of life. And I agree with that. Lots of people I've studied, that's one of our purposes here is to have joy in this life. And so, it some people think that it's a fleeting moment, and by the same token, it lifts us up into realms where the simple pleasures take on a whole new meaning, and it can serve as an emotional compass, guiding guiding us toward actions and experiences that truly nourish our soul. And so, if we think about another metaphor for the deep well springs of joy, is we can talk about the North Star. It doesn't move. And so then sailors have used it as their guiding star, of course. And so the deep wellspring of joy can be the North Star, guiding
Mm.
you through life's intricate maze. It's not it's simple, it's not easy, but it's as simple as thinking back to childhood when joy was just there. It just happened, and laughter and all of that stuff before we started adulting.
And when we were talking about this and working with this with William, was very interesting, like talking about this point. Joy is also that rainbow that we find after the storm. It's like we can be thinking about a symphony, for example. Again, the orchestra, there is a symphony. There can be a lot of minor chords, a lot of poses that we like or we don't like, but that is building up a major crescendo. Like, okay, finally, there is something that is coming. So that the rainbow is that crescendo, is that profound climax that is coming after the tension that is coming. So sometimes, okay, how a storm can have joy. It's like really every time that we are having a storm is because something amazing is coming. And I like to talk about this because really when you start to understand what are the laws of the universe and how they apply and they work, we can find that for every positive there is a negative, for every negative there is a positive, for every up there is a down, for every, so the world is always in harmony. So if you are in a storm that maybe you can say it's a negative thing, there is also a rainbow that is coming after that storm. And that is exactly what we are meaning with joy. That moment where you realize the truth of, wow, this was the reason I was going through all of this.
It's always a wonderful moment. And so then moving on to the innocence and wonder of joy, it's like building a sandcastle. The joy is the process. It's not just the outcome. It's learning to enjoy what where we are and what we're going through, even though it can be challenging.
And talking about the living in the here and now, that's something that we have been talking a lot of times during different programs that we have had with you. Uh, this is, again, if we go to the symphony, it's like each note is important. Each person that is doing something in the process is important. Enjoying that process and having that note at that moment is important. Uh, and it's the experience of the entire piece that brings really the true joy. And that's where we are saying it, like starting trying to be in the future and living in the future, that only creates anxiety. Living in the past is creating a lot of other issues, but in the now you can find the real joy.
So then, moving on to the action steps. How can you add this to your life? A first part is to build trusting relationships. We have discussed this in the past, and it's an important thing is to invest time in building deep and meaningful relationships. Um, ooh, and those relationships, that's where the collaboration can flourish, and and trust is the foundation of the genuine teamwork. And as our commenter is talking about, capitalizing on the now. And I love it because that's a big part of the trusting relationships is living here and now.
Yeah, that's exactly where teamworks start to work. It's where teamwork start to build. And today I was talking with a group of friends that each of them are high performance coaches. They are trying to, and we were discussing about that team. What is a team? Uh, and and how you can create a team. And everything starts with trust and enthusiasm. How much enthusiasm, how much joy are you bringing to that relationship, to that team, and how much trust you have and are you putting there? And that's where you can start to create high performance teams. So that belief for me was something powerful to add here. The other thing is exactly what we were talking at the end. Living in the here and now is embrace the present. You are in the present. You are not in the future. You are not in the past. You are here now. And that's where you can start to capture the essence of joy. I have done something called Vipassana. It's a type of meditation where you try to focus on the now. Like, okay, now I want to focus on my hand. I am focusing only on my hand, and it's a exercise for my mind to understand how to do it, because when I am doing that, the first 2 weeks maybe when I was doing that, it's like, okay, I focus on my hand, and suddenly my mind starts to tell me, but remember that this shoulder is having a lot of issues or something, or remember that the elbow is hurting, or yesterday you did that, and it's like, okay, it's okay, I am not judging that, I am focusing on my hand, and I come back to my hand. So that's where you can start to capture the essence of joy. It's when you start to focus on one thing and not in everything that is happening around you.
Which is which leads into the next one of celebrating the small wins. This is one of my challenges growing up. um, being given credit, being acknowledged for whatever was not part of the equation. And so in teamwork and personal life, celebrating small victories is uh, important. It's also being part of childlikeness. And it definitely nurtures a sense of joy and a culture of collaboration, even within ourselves.
And I have Jay Johnson saying in the now, capitalizing in the now, and I completely agree. That's exactly what we are talking. The fourth point, we are at 2 minutes to finish, but the fourth point is talking about spreading positivity. If you remember when I was talking, there is, for every negative there is a positive, because the world is always in balance. Everything is in balance. So there is something that maybe you are not seeing, and it's okay, you don't see it, but that doesn't mean that doesn't exist. There is a positive side for that. So when you start to spread and start to focus on start to find that positive thing that is happening, and I am not saying, yeah, just be positive and there is nothing wrong happening in your life. No, I am saying start to express kindness, start to find that other side of the world, of that thing that is happening, to start to understand how to grow and how to move to the next level, and that start to breathe the spirit of collaboration and joy.
Absolutely. And then to wrap up, reflect and rejoice. And that's part of giving ourselves credit and doing the positivity and the celebration of the small wins. Reflect and rejoice and appreciate the good times. And I love it, the learning from the challenges, that enhances the collaboration, the collaborative spirit, and the joy. Because it's difficult to appreciate the good without the not so good, without the challenges. Because if everything were simple and easy, it would be difficult to learn from what didn't work because everything would work. So, hey, I love it.
And that is exactly what I recommend any person that I am working with. When we start working together in a coaching, in any other environment, it's like start to journal everything that is happening in your life, and start to journal the great thing that happened in your life in that day. And that's something that I am doing also. Like, okay, I am having some time, even if it's 1 minute, but something to start to reflect, like, okay, what happened today? Let's start to be grateful about what. I am teaching that to my kids also every day, having a prayer at the end of the day, like, okay, what are the good things that happened today? Let's have something to say. That start to create the collaboration, start to create the joy, start to have a better space where you can be somebody else. So thank you, William, for today. It was amazing to have you again here in the program. And thank you, everyone that was listening. Jay Johnson, thank you for your writing, everything that you wrote. And if you have any questions or any comment, just you're free to send us a message. We are here to connect and help you any way we can. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you all. See you next time.
Have